Hello, this is Ramon Phipps with the Detail back for another Wednesday check-in. Today we're going to be talking about the stages of addiction. Now, the stages of addiction are fairly easy to understand, and maybe you can see from me detailing these stages that pretty much anybody can be susceptible towards engaging in addictive tendencies and behavioral patterns. The first stage is the casual stage. Now, everybody would have started off with a little bit of casual curiosity. Maybe it was when you snuck some liquor out of your parents' liquor cabinet when you were a kid, or the first time you ever tried marijuana, or when you went to that high school party and you got pitch black plastered drunk. I mean, these things in themselves are just generalized curiosities towards what it feels like to change our psychoactive state, and it's fairly harmless and innocent. I don't think there's ever any ill nature in wanting to casually and socially try drugs or try drinks to actually have some fun or feel the effects that everyone is speaking about. Most people, they don't get latched on to addiction when you just try one, even if it's a drug, drink, opioids, or cocaine. There are a lot that goes into predisposing somebody to wanting to have this psychoactive change continuous in their life. But for most people, you can try it and you could say goodbye. You can try it over and over again from time to time throughout the course of your life, and you can never really find yourself in active addiction. But not everyone is like that, because in the second stage, what predisposes us to addictive tendencies in the first place is going to be our dependency. Now, there are two focuses of dependency that I want to highlight. There's either going to be the physiological dependency, which is much more easier to understand. This is when your body has used a substance, and this is primarily going to be something that has to do, again, with psychoactive changes, such as an opioid, a benzodiazepine, marijuana, alcohol, stimulants. These things cause psychoactive changes that, in return, will give us pleasurable effects. In the short term, I suppose, until you overindulge on anything. But with that type of physiological dependency, it's only forming because our body got used to the habit and routine of functioning while under the influence of this substance. That's why when it comes to behavioral addictions in themselves, the withdrawals are dynamically much more different in a behavioral addiction, because let's just say that you have a gambling addiction, or you have an addiction towards sex, love, and intimacy. The difficulties that people face, the physiological cravings that people experience towards wanting to engage in these behaviors again, but not doing it because they've chosen a different path in life, are usually very benign. They're just uncomfortable, and they're mostly based on mental irritability more than anything else. But there are some substances out there that once they have their chemical hooks in you, then it's very dangerous to, of course, remove them without the proper treatment, help, or dedicated time and attention to go through a detoxification process. The other type of dependency, which is a more complex focus, is going to be the psychological dependency. So this is the whys of why people use in the first place. I mean, the desired effect of seeking a change in your psychoactive state only is based on an intention and a reason. And sometimes, and oftentimes actually, the intention and the reasoning towards wanting to change your psychoactive state to the point where it actually becomes a habitual routine in your life is sometimes get lost with that habitual routine. I could be drinking. I could be getting used to this routine of drinking. Every day I come home from work, I kick my feet up, I throw on the TV, I drink some beer. Or every time I hang out with friends or go to a party, I allow myself to smoke some marijuana, or I get drunk in order to deal with some social anxiety. Or every time I have an argument, I always find myself at a buddy's place smashing a couple back. We need to ask ourselves why we go to the psychoactive change to deal with discomforts in our life, or sometimes why we go to the psychoactive change with this idea or necessity to increase the things that are already feeling happy and pleasurable in our life, such as when you're on New Year's or you're celebrating your birthday and all you just want to do is make that high emotion feel better, so you combine it with something like a stimulant, or again, just getting drunk. I mean, the psychological dependency comes from this routine mentality that using a substance or behavioral choice to change my psychoactive state will give me my desired effect. And sometimes that desired effect is going to be stress relief. Sometimes it's going to be sleep. Maybe you're just smoking pot to get some sleep. Maybe it's going to be me feeling like it makes me more connected, more social, improving my self-esteem at parties or in my intimate love life or with my relationships with my family and my friends. I mean, there are going to be so much reasons why we engage in these psychoactive drugs in the first place. However, if you're unaware of the reasons why, then likely we might find ourselves attached to a routine because we've already seen the desired effect of what it means to use this substance in the first place or engage in this behavioral stimulus in the first place. When it comes to the problems that these things create in our life, it's never instantaneous. It's only something that comes far off in the future. Maybe for some people, it might actually come quicker. Regardless, we got to be careful of the reasons why we choose to use in the first place, because that's eventually what leads us into addictive tendencies. It starts off innocent, yes. We may just have this desire to want to find ourselves in a different state of mind, and that's fine, but not at the cost of running away from our pains, our troubles, our stresses, our worries, or always thinking that a small psychoactive change from a substance is always going to make our life a tad bit better, because that's already a very dependent mindset. Going off to stage 3, addiction. This is when everything is said and done. Once your body gets used to this new conditioning of always needing this substance or this behavioral choice in order to feel good, feel relief, feel better, feel more confident, reduce anxiety, whatever it may be, once you find yourself in the routine habit of this seeking of a drug or a behavior, then the addictive tendencies will start to form. And all addiction is really going to be classified as my desire to want to seek this stimulus that makes my life a little bit different, creating that psychoactive change, while knowingly causing detriments to other areas of my life, such as my finances, my relationships, my physical, emotional, and mental health, everything of the sort. Addiction is beyond the point. It's the reasons why we engage in this dependency in the first place. The casual side of things is also very irrelevant, because everybody is entitled to make their own choices, and if that choice for you includes having fun, changing their psychoactive state, then it can be harmless, but it becomes harmful when we become dependent on these things, when we think that they actually make our life better, when we think that we actually have more fun under the influence of a drug or drink. Now that's bullshit, and that's what makes our mind weak and susceptible to conditioning itself to needing a drug or drink or behavioral stimulus in order to feel accomplished, sane, excited, happy, relieved of stress, content with life, or maybe you're just trying to find your escapes. Whatever it may be for you, anybody can find their way out of addiction. You just have to be willing to break those dependencies. This has been Ramon Phipps with The Detail. Just for a short mindful check-in. I hope you got something from this video today. See you next Wednesday. Goodbye for now.